Warning: the following warning is useless. It contains spoilers for the show mentioned on the title. It also contains nudity, and that's it. Enjoy the video. Serra Pelada, Brazil, 1979. A farmer with the help of a geologist thinks he has found what he considers gold near his home, and after some studies, the research comes to the conclusion that it was in fact gold. This changed the population of Brazil forever. After that, many people from all over the country decided to join into this gold rush. Many men had hoped that this precious element would change their lives forever, but it was a hell that many men experienced and lost their lives just for the desire of a better life. The hole was so big that today the whole site has transformed into an artificial lake after the gold started to disappear from the mines, and the 79th element of the periodic table was no more in the Amazon jungle of this South American country. So why am I telling you this history lesson? Because the anime that I will talk today, some part of the story centers about this event. About a man who lost everything in his life and tried to change it by becoming what Brazilians call garimpeiro. Desculpa, mas eu não falo português bem. Today's worst anime review is for the title called The Wounded Man. The 1980s is a decade that I couldn't experience at all, and looking at the media that was released in general, they were doing all kinds of experimental and fun stuff just for the sake of it. With 80s anime, I feel I cannot do them justice, since I was born way past the decade. But since I am looking for the worst anime shows, The Wounded Man doesn't get any good commentary from me at all. Before starting, the first impressions when I saw the cover of this thing was, is this a B-film or a porno, right? And I wasn't too far from it. This is a production made by the studio company called Magic Bus. In their company's history, they have produced my favorite anime of all time, that is Cipher the Video, and the incredible space opera Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Although I haven't finished it, but from what I've seen so far, it's very good. It's a shame that today the company has decided to go all stupid with 3-minute hentai shorts in many ways and forms. But this is The Wounded Man, and how can I resume you the story of this OVA series? Well, in that case, it's very easy. It's an incomprehensive mess that tries way too hard to be a tragic and sad story, a mafia flick, a porno, and showing some events of what was happening in the 1980s. All of this combined for unsatisfactory results. So the story starts in Brazil, and presents us these Japanese reporters going to the Amazon jungle to see if the gold rush that I talked to you before was real, so they can do a report on it. In less than 5 minutes, we meet our protagonist, an American football player, Keisuke Ibaraki. He goes there to escape his life from the United States because he's convicted by a false crime done to his girlfriend, and all of this was caused by a blackmail pornographic company that extortions famous people so they can sell porno movies of them in the black market. The first thing I must say from this show is that it's very sickening to watch. In my Suinosora review, I said it was going to be my first and last hentai review, but since this contains non-stop sex, this could be easily be considered a hentai, so yeah, I lied. I have mentioned that there is porn, and this show will shove it to your face whenever they can. Our poor protagonist, the first thing he does is that when the reporters try to understand the situation going on in the Amazon, the idiot decides to almost kill the cameraman and then violently rapes the reporter. Yes, for some reason the story tries to make us feel bad for the miserable guy with his backstory, but in the first minute he appears, he does a more sickening stunt, and for what reason? So they can understand the troubles the Japanese are getting into? Like, what the hell? Your answer to say the place could be dangerous is that you are dangerous too? Wow, what a genius. But after he warns them, they decide to keep going with the filming of the area. But another group of garimpeiros assault the crew, and they decide to torture the reporter with a poisonous insect, until our Amazon defender comes to the rescue and saves the crew. After that, he tells them to leave the Amazon and never come back because of the events that just occurred. In the end of the first episode, then the reporter has a change of heart and says that she loves him, even though he raped her. Yeah, this is the kind of intelligence this show has. Unless she enjoys being raped and consensual sex, then that's why she loves him maybe. And just like that, the first 35 minutes are over. But the problems that appear here are present for the rest of the show, which brings us to the main problem. The main and big flaw of this show from the very beginning is the characterization of the female characters. They are sex objects. They just show them naked just for the sake of showing them naked. Do exercise? Be naked. Use a pistol? Be naked. Sleep? Be naked. Everything these women do, they have to shove their boobs all over the screen just to make you feel horny. What a pathetic way to attract audiences, even if this show is GAR. Also, our main protagonist loves this woman in the show so much that he has pictures of them even if they die. Keisuke is simply a macho man in everything, and the asshole is immortal. I am not kidding. He gets burned, he gets shot by guns, he gets wounded, you could rip him in half and the guy will live forever. But the girlfriends he has, they die in an instant. I don't understand the physical rules of this setting, or if he has some sort of demigod powers like Hercules. The other characters don't save themselves for being horribly written. There's a scene where he decides to leave Brazil and go back to the United States using a boat from another girl that lives there in Brazil, and she decides to help him by constructing a boat with their bare hands and tools, with the condition that some of the gold that Keisuke has found must be shared with her, which they do, but before leaving the maritime borders they get assaulted by some guys and his girlfriend reporter dies, and for some reason when they are at the maritime borders, he and the ship girl have a fake discussion that leads into this passionate sex and the officers just stand there. Then they enter to look at the fake passports and see that dead girlfriend on the bed and they think she's sleeping. Like, what the hell? Try to do that on a real border control and see what happens. I believe the author treats the Brazilian police like idiots, and besides passing the Brazilian guards, tell me how are you going to be outside of the VO27 Caribbean territories without knowing if you're near the maritime borders? And remember, this was a cheap boat that was built with their bare hands and small tools and not some high-class ship with some GPS or even a map! I am analyzing way too much into this thing, but that's what happens when you have seen a lot of animated shit! Another factor that really sucks balls about this show is the action sequences, and again, the protagonist is the main problem. He has a special martial art that I'm going to call Muay Quarterback Fu, because doing the same movements that you do as an American football player is very useful as a combat style and for the action sequences, I guess. Talking about action, the action scenes are badly made. For being Magic Boss first work, it really blows. With the action scenes, they just repeat like 3 to 5 times the same movement over and over just to kill time. There's a fight between Keisuke and porn mafia guy that looks like Fang from Street Fighter V, and they just do the same crappy movement with the knife. Other action scenes are just too quick with some flashy portraits to say that something cool happened, but they are lazy and terrible. And since I am talking about the animation, the producers couldn't decide what skin color Keisuke has. Sometimes he's black, sometimes he's mixed, sometimes he's white. More things to note about the animation and its production, there's a big issue with the lighting, or better form to say it, lack of it. The obscure backgrounds make some characters look like they are just floating eyeballs, and I have seen that in animation before. Even recently, my AMV of Mirai Nikka used a scene like that. But here, it is so notorious that if someone has darker skin color, he or she will become the background. Not in the background, they transform themselves into the dark background. It is embarrassing to even say it nicely. I wonder what the director Yoshio Takeuchi had in mind, but what can you expect from someone that transformed Beyblade from this to this? Wow. Now that I think about it, I understand One Punch Man fans now. But still not the worst thing ever. To conclude this review, the ending is simply idiotic. Since Keisuke wants revenge of every tragic moment in his life, he will go and practice his Muay Quarterback Fu against the government, against your family, against his neighbor, against everyone. At this rhythm, even if you stare at him for some reason, he will want you dead because the whole world is against him apparently. And I forgot to mention that when he arrives to the United States, he becomes famous again and plays American football again, but also becomes a mafia boss, and nothing in the story tells you how or why. And the problem is that with these 80s productions is that sometimes you have to read the manga to know what actually happens in the anime. It is not like today that the adaptations of the manga are mostly done chapter by chapter. In the 80s they just grabbed some part of the manga's story and animated the way they wanted. But again, if the beats they had picked were good and tried to make it at least some part of the story tolerable, this wouldn't be bad, or just go full fun like Cipher the Video, which is what these guys from Magic Boss did years later. But no, it is a mess from start to finish. If you want to watch this, it will be a big drag, because 5 episodes of almost 40 minutes and with bad English subtitles, or unless you know Spanish, because there's also a Spanish subtitle version, this will be hard, but also there's no payoff with it. The porn is stupidly bad and just to attract someone who really is desperately horny, and the action is laughable with animation that seems to use their characters with toys physics instead of human physics, and not understanding what the hell to do with its story, and it could also be horrible even for the manga, but I don't know that since I haven't checked it out. I don't know if there are many differences between the anime and the manga, or if it's only an anime problem, but it could also be horrible even for the manga, because the story is simply awful, but I don't know that since I haven't checked it out. Maybe in the future I could review the manga, but the problem is that I don't like manga too much. Well, this is everything from my part. This is Elkepsan. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can give likes and subscribe to see what will be the next torture, or you can watch the anime music videos or the anime series I have uploaded. If you have a recommendation, you can leave it on the comments. Take care on whatever you do, and see you next time. Goodbye, people.